Hi everyone,
Hi guys.
lovely to see you again. You'll see we're still in our homes. We're not reunited in the loft, but I think it will be quite soon. I don't think there's going to be that long to wait now. I'm hoping.
Yeah, well, saying that we're hoping, yeah. So we are doing this over Zoom, which I realise is not ideal. The quality's not great. And also we'd like to be in the same place, kind of smelling at the same time. But we want to keep on making videos and having fun with fragrances, so we're still doing this.
Absolutely. So I mean, so we're distancing, but also the perfume that we're talking about, like most perfumes, I guess that we talk about, is from even further away. It's from Canada,
Yep, yeah, it's from
which
Canada.
is
Yeah.
which is really cool. Who do we have today then?
So these are from fragrances from Meleg perfumes. So they're all, I guess you could describe them as vintage style, vintage inspired fragrances. Now, if
Yeah,
you've watched our
our
channel,
favorite.
you've probably seen us mention Civet Cat Chypre, which is one which I heard Yana from her channel Tomolay's speaking about this, and I thought it sounded absolutely amazing. And I bought it,
Yeah,
and it's amazing. And we've done
it's
a video.
wonderful, isn't it?
Um, so I'll post a link. We're not going to talk about this too much. I'll post a link about it below. But one of the things, so yes, it is this amazing, theatrical, luxurious, old school feeling Chypre, which has got real civet in it. But I think almost the most impressive thing is that it didn't feel like an Etsy indie fragrance. You know what I mean? Like, so at the moment, I
No.
think I think he's soon to be opening his own website, but there's still just an Etsy site. And you always worry that when you get something off Etsy, it's going to feel, especially when it has materials like civet, or if it has real oud in it, you think they just could be a bit rough around the edges. Whereas we were so surprised how beautiful and how homogenous and how well composed a fragrance this is.
Yeah.
Um, anyway,
Straight out of the Osmotech. It really felt like we'd stumbled upon a vintage gem. I think. I mean,
absolutely.
I only smelt it a few times, but
But
loved it.
and if you've seen our channel, we love kind of vintage fragrances, and we're often kind of hankering after how things used to smell. Anyway, so Matthew Melick, he sent us a few things. Oh, my earpiece just fallen out. He sent us a bottle of this, which is his new style bottle. This is
Oh,
called
they're quite nice, aren't they?
the Canadian Gentleman, number 57. So this is, as you say, it's a new style bottle. This is the original. This is a new one, and you can also get a one with a kind of wax sealing on it. Um, and then he, as well as that, is he sent us a bunch of other little samples to try. Here. So let's chat
So there's
about
some
them. And
there's some good stuff here, isn't there, Dan? There's some really really well made perfume, I think.
I mean, it's always interesting to see if if he is a one hit wonder or not. So let's start talking about them.
Where
Can
should we
we
go?
can we start with this little sample here, which is, let me get the full name. So it's called Number 25 Birch Tar and Russian Leather. I'll spray it and I'll chat a bit. So Matthew Melick is a self-taught
Mm.
perfumer. And he said he started his journey by collecting Victorian apothecary books 20 years ago. I just sprayed that. The
It's
smell is a bit.
great stuff. I've had it on here
Uh,
for a couple of hours now. Oh,
this this one is awesome. It's so good.
it's off
Um,
the charts, isn't it?
it's so it's a Russian leather. It's a Cuir de Russie. It's a very very well known. It's like a Chypre or a Fougère. It's a very kind of established style of fragrance. Guerlain did it a long time ago. Chanel very famously did it. Um, but this this is the real deal here, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of birch tar and it's a lot of castoreum. When I first sprayed it the first time, I wondered that the castoreum was going to be too much. Um, but
I
again, what?
I know what you mean.
And maybe I am speaking as someone who likes animalic fragrances, but it's like castoreum is a big note, and I've got a little bottle of it's just castoreum and vanilla, real castoreum, and to be honest, it's not by him, it's by somebody else, and I can't really wear it. It's so strong. It just smells like, a beaver's just dragged its balls across your face, like
Yeah.
which is kind of impressive, but I couldn't actually wear it. But when handled like this, so castoreum gives you what you think of as this rich leather, old boot smell. There's slight kind of booziness to it as well.
I got a big benzoin thing from this now in the base a couple of hours later.
Yeah.
It's that benzoin warmth. I don't find it too challenging in the sense of being overly filthy or animalic. I find it just very warming and comforting.
Yeah, and
but within those animalic parameters.
Because it's also got a lot of birch tar as well, which gives it a kind of a smoky, kind of fiery, burnt quality as well to it. And again, these two things, they are big notes, and you could think that this could just smell rough and over the top, but it's really beautiful. And I don't think these notes are in there, but I get real suggestions of booze and chocolate and caramel. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of dark, round, rich, comforting things. Really old, worn leather boots. A hint of boot polish as well.
It's so good.
There's a sweetness. I don't know if there's like a kind of sweet tobacco feel. I'm just looking at kind of some of my notes down here. But
definitely some tobacco in there, I'm sure. I've not checked the notes on this one, but it feels like there's a really good rich pipe tobacco going on in the background.
It's not, I know we keep talking about castoreum. Just while we're on the castoreum, so he's obviously, when we talked about the civet sheep before, and when we're talking about real animalics, one of the reasons they're not used so much anymore is because of the ethical questions surrounding harvesting animal products. So he has put a note on his website about castoreum using this, and he said the Canadian trappers do not catch the beavers for their musk pods, but they catch them for their furs, and only after the skinning do they then discard the pods, and that's handed over to perfumers. So from what he says, we infer that these castoreum, the beavers, were not harvested for making perfume.
Pardon the pun there, by the way. Infer, sorry.
But those beavers smell amazing.
Second pun. Sorry, I'm just being annoying now. But no, it is really good, because castoreum done like this feels very, very approachable. It's like, it's intense quality, it's an intense depth, but it's also very approachable and friendly, and it's addictive. I can't stop smelling it.
Yeah, and the same with one of the things I enjoyed about Civet Cat Sheep. I felt I was immediately plunged into the middle of a fragrance. I wasn't aware of top notes starting off and eventually, and it's nice to have a journey. But here, I just feel I've gone straight into this homogeneous, warm, rich.
Yeah, quite Parfum and Roma-esque in that way.
Yeah,
you're straight into the essence itself. And what an essence that is.
I mean, he's somebody who he's on his Instagram. He's published lots of recipes for fragrance, if you like, lots of them. And I understand he's kind of, as I said at the beginning, he started by finding these Victorian apothecary books, and he's looked up old recipes for fragrances, and he's kind of taken them. But I have seen him mention that he doesn't just kind of copy things. He is slightly putting his own slant on old recipes, but it's just it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
He's clearly just inspired by great perfume making and the way things were done once upon a time before they all got massacred by various rules and regulations.
Thing is,
but we need those rules and regulations as well. I understand, there are two sides to the coin, but doesn't mean I'm not going to enjoy these bad boys when they're out there in the world.
we should also say, as a caveat for all of these fragrances, and for all fragrances you buy on Etsy or anywhere like that, that when you do buy them, don't just give yourself 48 sprays all over your body. Just patch test it, maybe on a small bit of skin first, because
Yeah.
they haven't been IFRA tested, so they haven't passed those regulations. So don't just spray it straight into your mouth.
No.
That I've worn all of these several times. I've worn lots of fragrances by him, and I've been absolutely fine. I've not noticed being unwell at all. Right.
Yeah.
Next,
Which one do you think?
let's try the Peach and Oak Moss Chypre number 7. Also, this has got the kind of sub-name Madeline, which is actually the name of his mother. So,
so good.
Peach and Oak Moss Chypre. I know what you're thinking. It's what I was thinking as well. Does this smell like Mitsuko? It's another real beautiful fragrance, and yes,
very real. The first thing I felt was, this is just very real. You're plunged into an immediate bouquet of whatever this is that he's got hold of. Peaches, other florals.
So now this is different to the last 2 fragrances that we've spoken about. We only spoke about Civic Cat Chypre briefly, but this, I really do feel we're getting the experience of top notes. Yeah. Big, juicy, delicious top notes.
Really juicy.
And it's very different. Even though if you were to see the Civic Cat Chypre and the Peach and Oak Moss Chypre notes lists side by side, they look. I think there's quite a lot of crossover, but the experience is quite different. You just get this beautiful. I don't think it's just peach. I get a lot of kind of fruitiness, bright. I mean, if you say fruit cocktail, it sounds like such a derogatory thing, but I do get this kind of delicious fruity melange.
It's the syrup, isn't it? It's not just the juice; it's the actual richness of the syrup. That it's stewing in.
Absolutely,
so good,
really beautiful, and of course, there is a hint of Mitsuko. So this, what we're talking about, controversial ingredients. So this has got some oak moss in it. So I guess it's got some real oak moss, which I don't know if that's an IFRA regulation amount. But it also, the other thing it has, the naughty thing it has in it is musk. I don't know if you say muscatone or muscatone. Anyway, that so it's one of the first. It's a nitro musk. It's one of the first synthetic musks that was invented in the late 19th century, but was used a lot in the 20s. But it's now.
Jiki was a classic example of that.
Yeah, I understand it's now it's not used at all in modern perfumery. So again, just be aware of these things before you go crazy. But it doesn't. This is a beautiful. It feels like a real classic fragrance.
Yeah.
It just smells like the kind of thing that I could, if you smell this in the Osmotek, you'd be like, yes, I understand where this belongs. This is a peachy top, but it doesn't smell exactly like Mitsuko. I don't.
No, not at all.
It doesn't smell actually that oak mossy at all, really.
No.
And there's some beautifully kind of handled. There's a bit of beautifully handled spice in the middle of this. I also wondered if there was a little bit of incense, or I don't know if that doesn't seem like a very kind of traditional Chypre thing, but I just got a hint of maybe it's just a suggestion of a kind of a bit of sparkle. There's definitely ylang ylang, and more florals, but it doesn't have the for
big
me,
white floral.
It doesn't have the spice of Mitsuko, especially. I'm talking about. I've got a 1980 X-ray bottle of Mitsuko, which is it's probably the best thing I own. So when I'm talking about that, when I'm talking about Mitsuko, I'm kind of talking about that rather than the modern EDP or EDT necessarily. So it doesn't have the musk of it, nor does it quite have the oak moss of it. But if you like Mitsuko, I think this is definitely much better than the modern Mitsuko, I'd say.
Yeah, totally.
Not
it's just so beautiful.
Yeah,
it's just sheer beauty.
From what we're saying, it's feminine leaning, and it's if you want to smell like a modern young guy, if you're looking for something like, I don't know, Aventus or whatever, you're not going to like this. But if you're a lover of classic Chypras, you're in for a treat.
Yeah, I would wear that in a heartbeat, no problem.
Right. Next. So this is the full bottle he gave to us. So just talking about prices again. So Civic Cat Chypra is $9. I'm going to talk in pounds, even though he's obviously priced in dollars, because on Etsy it comes up in a conversion. So Civic Cat Chypra is £92 for 30ml. The Russian birch tar and Russian leather was £85 for 30ml. The peach and oak moss was £80 for 30ml. So this is
very good prices.
Sent to us. I'm just going to say as well, like just to be honest, this label. In fact, there we go. The label's fallen. The label's fallen.
The former label.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know he does a higher. You can get one with a kind of a wax finish, but that label has fallen off, whereas this label stayed on much better. So, so there you go. So this is, and they've got the name down the side here. Do you want to start chatting about this for a bit? Because I know you're quite.
I love this one. The first thing I got when I wore this a little while ago was a huge blast of, for me, a huge blast of vintage Paron Pour Homme lavender.
Yeah.
Really beautiful green, creamy. I mean, it had the creaminess immediately. Again, it didn't feel like a sort of a big bright opening top and then it sort of disappeared. It just felt like you were plunged into this creamy lavender world immediately. Slightly minty, slight shaving foam aspect going on there as well. That sort of classical green fougere.
Yeah.
I mean, just really, really took me back in time immediately like that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, real kind of classic fougere. Bit of pine in there as well. I mean, it just kind of takes you back in time. But I mean, the lavender is just beautiful quality, isn't it?
Such good quality, yeah.
Yeah.
And really, really, for me, the thing that I love about it was the fact that it sort of immediately spoke a language to me. I smelt it and I thought, oh, I know exactly what you are. I know exactly where you're from. I can picture the time I was walking around as a young kid smelling this. There's a connection that he has. I don't know why or what's in here that's doing that. But I think it's not so much just the ingredients themselves, but the type of ingredients, the way they're used, the real naturals that he's using.
When I wore this, there was a slight, I don't know if I would quite go as far as leathery, but like an orris-y maybe quality. It got a little bit rounder, and there's a muskiness. I wonder if there was might not be the musky tone, but there's some kind of musk where I felt it shared a bit of DNA with Civic Cat Chypra and some of the others.
Yeah. It just makes it purr, I think. It makes it purr underneath gently.
Yeah.
Whatever he's doing with that musk.
I'm going to actually... I know you really like this one. This actually... This somehow... I mean, I like it. It doesn't excite me as much as the Civic Cat Chypra or the birch tar, I can see that.
It's
just kind of personal taste. For me, whereas the others just felt very, very special, this just felt very nice. So, just to speak honestly, this one didn't rock my boat, but I know it did for you. But we're allowed to disagree sometimes.
Absolutely, that's the beauty of it. That perfume is so personal, isn't it? So something that speaks to you or reminds you of something. Maybe a completely singular experience.
Absolutely.
So there's another one.
Yeah. So there's one more we're going to chat about briefly, which is this aged organic vetiver number 53.
I've got that on my elbow here. It's actually sort of vanished from my elbow.
So it starts off as a real classic kind of soapy vetiver. Quite crisp and fresh and bright. Very, very masculine leaning. It's a classic kind of men's vetiver. And eventually... Bit of
apple there as well?
Yeah, I think that's that kind of crisp green. And then eventually it became a little bit nuttier and a bit rounder. I'll also say, for me, this one didn't excite me that much. It's really nice, and I can't really say anything, particularly negative about the kind of quality of materials or the blend. It just didn't really go anywhere, and it didn't feel I was really experiencing anything. I didn't have an emotional response to this at all. Whereas, as you've seen, like the Civic Cat Sheepborough, the Birch Tar, and the Peach and Oak Moss, really were kind of stunning. This is, for me, this is good. I'm not going to bag it.
I'm with you on this one. But also I think vetiver is a problematic note for me. I have to say, I've never been particularly excited by a straight up vetiver fragrance. I love Occitan vetiver is one of my favorite things.
Yeah,
but that's because of all the nutmeg and the spices and the woodsiness behind it as well. Vetiver on its own, even Guerlain vetiver, which is beautiful and probably one of the great masculines of all time.
But there's so
I never smell it. And there's a lot going on in that besides, but I never smell it and go nuts in the same way that I do for like Abbey Rouge or Shalimar or any of those guys. I just find vetiver is it's a bit well behaved.
I mean, I have to let you smell this Ensar Oud vetiver. I think what's it called?
Yeah, I'd love to smell that.
That is banana. Like, that will change your mind about what vetiver can be. For me, this as I say, it's nice. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with it, but it just doesn't excite me as much as the other ones. So I know he does have some more fragrances on the website. I think there's a honey and deer musk, which I think could be really interesting. Some of the more
there's some really exciting things on there actually, and there's a sort of oak moss forest oak moss thing. There's something called Vienna. I can't remember the name. I should have looked them up. Like a Vienna chocolate patchouli thing.
Yeah.
Which looks really interesting. I mean, and I think there's another peach on there as well, because this is 2020. The peach Madeleine that we were smelling.
Yeah.
So I think there's another one that he's done before, which is another peach and oak moss. So I'd be interested to see if he's done a few different iterations of it and the process.
But I mean, the thing about him is, recently, Rogue Perfumery Manuel Cross has become, really quite popular. They're now available on Lucky Scent, and he's somebody else, really going for these vintage style fragrances with Chypre Siam and Mousse Illuminée and many more. And for me, these are definitely as good in terms of quality and in terms of blend. And I think people who loved Rogue will love these. I really love them, and I mean,
he deserves to be getting some real attention.
Absolutely, they are. Yeah, I mean, it's not someone just playing around with big ingredients and following a recipe book. That is not what it is. It's someone who has skill and talent and artistry. I mean, I love this. Civic Cat Sheepborough, I've said before, it's amazing, but I love that this Russian leather. I mean, it's one of the
it's fantastic.
Is a well kind of trodden thing, and this is one of the best for me. Awesome stuff. So
I think I may slightly prefer this to my Anna Zorikina.
Well, that was
because I have her Cuida.
Yeah, see, that's the one which kind of just sprung to mind.
But I think I prefer this because it's a bit warmer.
Yeah. Oh, where is it? That's definitely right.
More addictive, more comforting to my nose.
Yeah. Tell you the other thing it reminds me of slightly is Russian Oud by Riche Ladurée. Now, obviously, this doesn't have oud in it, but that kind of chocolate. What Russian Oud has is this just chocolatey, caramelly, kind of just balsamic embrace, which is what I kind of get from this Russian Oud.
It really does share a relationship. Have you done a side-by-side comparison on each hand?
No, I will. No, it'd be interesting one to try.
Actually, really, there's a real kinship between them, I think.
And also the other one, I guess, which is similar to that is Engreloupe by Rania J, which is another kind of, it's called Amberloupe, but it's very oudy. It smells kind of like I always think it smells quite like Russian oud as well. But if you like that, check this out. But if you've tried any others, because there are some other interesting ones which he's done, which I'd like to know about, let us know.
Yeah, and keep making them because they're great.
Yeah. Awesome
We are
stuff.
big fans.
So until next time, happy
Bye.
sniffing.